subscribe. Tariq Radio. Like and subscribe.
All right. Let me get some more folks in here. TTV, hop in, TTV.
It might be I don't know, you might not
Oh,
like it. One of my favorite movies is actually Remember the Titans, because I think it expresses so well as to um, how the divide is and how the divide was. And I don't know, being Australian, I don't know if it was that bad. I don't know if it was exaggerated, but to me, it's one of my favorite movies still, and I love Denzel. I really do. Um, the one thing I would like to
yeah.
ask is, because I'm very new to this space and I'm new to FBA. I had no idea it was. I think, yeah. Um, it was only a week ago that I knew
Yeah.
what it was when I accidentally tapped into it. Um, but how do you deal with all of the oppression? That's something I want to know as someone who's also
Now,
ethnic.
are you East African originally?
No, I oddly enough, I have a lot of East African friends, but I'm
Okay.
Asian and I'm from Australia, and it's just a lot of things where it's just like we my parents and a lot of Asians have helped build up
Mhm.
Australia. There's just zero knowledge and zero acknowledgement, and there's just um the economy is what it is due to multiculturalism and certain groups, and a lot of them are never acknowledged, and it makes me super super sad. So how do, I guess, Black Americans deal with that?
Good question. Very good question. Um, the question was, how did we deal with oppression? And a lot of people study us, and it amazes people how we were able to deal with such oppression, because people know what we went through. Don't Nobody's dumb. They know we went through some shit. They know that. And I think that goes back to a lot of the vitriol that a lot of people have towards us, because they know what we've been through. That shit would have broke them. They would have just completely decimated them. We went through vile oppression just generationally and survived that, and then came out still shining. One way we got out of that massive oppression, we developed a deep spiritual system of resistance. I call it the Majara spirit. We developed a very, very strong spiritual essence that we would tap into to keep us surviving. We started, we out of that spirit, we had root work, hoodoo, certain other things that were applied to Christianity and other religions, but really it was that Majara spirit. We had a spirit that we tapped into, that we use for protection, healing, guidance, and we built up our spiritual system. We started tapping within. We started tapping into that spiritual system within, and then we started getting connected to each other based on that spiritual system. So that gave us somewhat of a code. So we knew how to look out for each other. That led us to building self-sustaining economies. Despite the racism and the violence, we would still build independent towns and prosperous areas, even during oppression. You understand? That's the thing that was amazing people. How are we doing all this? Look, we were coming out of slavery becoming millionaires. We would come out of slavery and just become millionaires. The brother who got out of slavery and became a potato king out there in Kentucky became a millionaire. Mary Ellen Pleasant went up to San Francisco, became a millionaire. Robert Church Reed down there in Memphis became a millionaire, one of the first black millionaires. Biddy Mason went up to LA and became a millionaire. So we had that spiritual system that was so strong, and we were connected with other foundational Black Americans. We generated a certain spiritual code. You dig? And we would master sending messages through our spiritual systems. We had a spiritual code, and then we started to send messages to each other, and we learned how to communicate with each other in covert ways. With our Negro spirituals, our songs, we would send messages to each other so that the dominant society would see what we were doing and talking about. Then we started to create cultures from scratch and genres from scratch in order to get us by, using these music genres as therapy because we had to heal ourselves. We had no sanctuary. We couldn't go nowhere. So, music, we would create whole new music genres. Music is therapy. You understand? Music, really, the purpose of music historically has always been to heal. In ancient times, that's what music was really used for. Musical notes were meant to heal certain parts of your body. That's why certain music, you go to church and certain songs, it heals you. So that's what we would do. We would create blues to heal ourselves, gospel to heal ourselves, soul, jazz to heal ourselves. It was therapy. Then we would use it as protest music. Then we used it to strategize. You understand? So this is how we were getting by. We were creating these things and learning how to thrive and get by. Then when we created hip hop was another form of therapy and rebelliousness because we were being locked out of certain genres and institutions. So we said, hey, we'll create our own institutions and genres right here on the streets of the Bronx, and we'll take some of these Southern seeds and this funk here and our parents' records, and we'll create our own thing here as an act of rebellion. You see? So we started to educate ourselves. We knew we had to read and become thinkers and become knowledgeable because these people not only were they oppressing us, they were making learning illegal. And we understood that there's value in learning. If they're making this thing illegal, there must be value to it. So we started to value learning and educating ourselves and becoming woke, as they say. You see? So we started to learn laws. We started to learn constitutions. We started to file lawsuits and um, draft documents and fight for amendments to the Constitution. Remember, the 14th Amendment and all of that, that was a grassroots movement from us. That was us doing that. That was the foundational Black American grassroots movement. You dig? So we were doing a lot of phenomenal things. Um, we started to get a revolutionary spirit. Everything about us was revolutionary. We survived because we were in such dire straits under these white supremacists. Everything about our culture had to be rooted in resistance. And I say this all the time, foundational Black Americans, we're the only group where every part of our culture is really rooted in resistance. The way we eat, that's rooted in resistance. We're resisting being deprived of certain foods. They would give us scraps, so we would turn it into delicacies. Our hair and the way we would groom and wrap our hair, that was resistance. Places like Louisiana, they didn't want Black women running around with their hair out because that woolly hair, that black hair, that textured black hair, that turned them white Frenchmen on too much. And the white women were complaining. They were like, hey, make them black broads cover that shit up. So they had to wear head wraps. So we started saying, okay, we'll wear a head wrap. Let's flip that shit and make it so fly. The everybody wants the women anyway. They made it look so good. And the white men were like, damn, I want her even more. Shit. So everything was resistance. We were doing things to resist and push back everything. Our music, everything, the way we dressed, our styles was all about resistance. Even now, the way we dress is like you're resisting certain norms that's supposed to be imposed on you. So we're told you got to wear a suit and tie and all that. We're like, no, we're going to make sneakers fly. We're going to get some tennis shoes and we're going to make that shit so fly that we're going to create a sneaker industry. That's out of rebellion, sir. You understand? That's out of rebellion. So everything we make rebellion look fly. You got your baseball hat looking that way. We're going to wear it this way. We're going to wear it to the side and to the back. We're gonna flip that. You got them jeans. We're going to get our jeans and we're going to put rips in them. We're going to put ripples in them and we're going to wear them a certain way to resist what you're doing. And we make it fly. You see? So there were a lot of things that we were doing in order to survive. This is how we got through this thing. We were looking out for each other. We would use our churches and fraternal organizations to take care of everybody. When people talk about the village, we had a real village mindset. We knew all across this country how important it was for us to help each other. Yeah, we would get into individual spats and beefs here and there, but generally, and even to this day, Black people generally help each other. Black people generally help each other in America. In America, let me say that in America, we don't have tribalism like that. That's another thing. All of these other countries, you're easily infiltrated and you can be suppressed easily because it's so much tribalism. Not just in Africa, there's different little ethnic groups in Asia. Now, I don't rock with that guy. I don't rock with that guy. So people can be infiltrated more. We don't have tribal groups. So a Black person in Los Angeles, you'll be on code with a Black person in South Carolina. Black person in South Carolina will be on code with a Black person in Minnesota. So we have a somewhat of a code nationwide. So there was a few things. There was a few things there that made us survive. Nico, what's happening?
Hello, brother Tariq. My name is Nico. I'm from Ohio, raised in Texas. Just trying to introduce myself to the FBA family.
Yes, sir.
I'm
Everything good?
currently, sir.
Everything good with you, brother?
Yes, sir. I'm actually trying to be a historian myself.
Okay.
I follow you, but I do admire you both, and I try to take some of you guys' points and spread it across the FBA community. So uh, I'm one of those historians are tired of other groups of people trying to tell us who we are, and hopefully one day I can get a PhD degree in history so I can tell our story amongst ourselves and whatnot. So that's
Mhm.
all I wanted to say, brother. Thank you.
All right, thank you, brother. All right. Let me see. Let me get some more folks in here. All right. All right. Y'all raise your hands. Let's get Love I Am in the building. Let's get Miss Love I Am. Love I Am, hop on in, sis. Miss Love I Am.
Hey Tariq, can you allow me just 1 second to unpack something that happened today earlier in a conversation on TikTok? Because it coincides with the conversation and it actually happened in here
Okay.
earlier. So I was on TikTok and there was this Kenyan woman over there, and she was using terms like we, us, and our. And she was saying that the same thing that's happening to Africans in Africa is happening to Black Americans, but she was saying us
Mhm,
the entire time, right?
mhm,
And so I noticed that she referenced we had self-sustained towns and communities historically. So she referenced our history, our towns and communities. But then later on in the conversation, she said that the melanated immigrants dispelled the myth of the high IQ white person. And so I I called her out. I feel like I literally said the perspective that you have is not sufficient for me as a Black American, and it's rooted in a devaluation of Black American people. Because the reality of the matter is that we have 400 years of documented history that dispels the myth of a high IQ white person.
mhm.
So when you're coming and you're number one, you're referencing our history when it's convenient.
Yeah.
Then you want to come and talk about melanated high IQ Africans dispelling the myth. And then she was actually creating our sob story, talking about we were so trauma induced that that's why we have low IQs. And as soon as I called her out, she's trying to argue with me now because she's the one that has emotions appended. I do not. I can lay out the framework of my argument. As soon as I finished speaking, there was a white person that came in the conversation and capitalized on that moment to say the African immigrants, they're doing better than you. So I just want to point out that there was a Somali guy in here earlier that was trying to make that same
Yeah.
argument. Now the IQ in Somalia is 68. So he actually was just flat out lying. But outside of that, they will formulate these half-baked arguments that are rooted in fallacy and cognitive dissonance. And then when we as Black Americans go to correct them and provide the proper perspective, they get mad at us because they're used to us just accommodating that BS. And we know these white people. So I knew hearing her contradict herself in her thought process was literally just a doorway for another group to go on to exploit that. So don't let them deceive you into thinking that I'm talking to the people in the room now, that us setting the record straight about our history and letting them know that we are the only expert on our experience and it will be that way. So we're going to correct you every time. Don't let them gaslight you into thinking that that's some sort of xenophobic hatred or something.
Yes, ma'am, man. Good stuff, sis. That's real heavy. And you know what? A lot of listen, this goes back into what I was saying. We as foundational Black Americans, we're not tribal. We're not. Even though we have little beefs here and there, we still kind of get on code. We as foundational Black Americans, we get on code very quick. Even if we have gang beefs, when there's an oppressive system there, we'll put that shit to the side. That's what happened out here in LA during the 92 riots, remember? In the 80s out here in LA, the Crips and Bloods were at each other's throats majorly. When that Rodney King went down, that thing went down, everybody put that shit to the side. We all got on code out here. Yeah, it was like, hey, gang truce. I love you, brother. Now let's go get at these folks. They ain't like that. See, we know we'll put our differences to the side real quick. You understand? When there's an oppressive system there, we get on code, man. Now, the dominant white society, they know that all these other groups are very tribalistic. Just like what Sister Love I Am said, the white person hopped in there. Oh, those Africans do so much better than you. See, that's where the tethers get that shit from. They get that from the white people. I want y'all to understand all of that. We niggas are doing better than you niggas. They get that from white people. White people told them that talking point. That's where they got that shit from. Which is that was like a little divide and conquer shit. The white supremacists pulled them to the side and say, hey, you know what? Those Black Americans, man, you're not like them. You don't have all that hostility that they have. Yeah, yeah, Unduru. In fact, you come over here and work harder, and according to my stats, you make more money than them. So you work harder. Your household income is better. You know what, white man? You are right. Now, what the white man didn't tell you, the household income is higher because you got 30 niggas living in the house. That's why the household income is higher, not because you work harder. But the tethers run with that. And the white supremacists, they know that we're not tribal, but they know the tethers are. So they bring the tethers over and drop them right up under us so they can do things to us. You dig? That's why when you see all this Doge money they're uncovering. Look at all of these African and Caribbean, and look at where all this money was going. You understand what I'm saying? They've been papering these people up on the low. Yeah? Let's get Glow. Glow, the big back Puerto Rican. Glow, what's up, man? Glow, unmute your microphone, man. Miss Glow? Oh, she bounced. Okay, she'll get back up here in a minute. She probably had a burrito in the oven she had to get out. You know how the big backs be having late night snacks. She'll be back. All right. But yeah, that whole model minority thing that was used as a divide and conquer strategy. You see, there's a reason why those non-FBAs were sitting up here online just denigrating us for just uh, decades. sitting up online denigrating us left and right. You see? And they didn't expect us to punch down. But again, we got to understand there's a reason why the dominant society, they bring people from certain parts of Africa and the Caribbean or whatever, and they put them in very strategic positions. See, they start recruiting a lot of these African immigrants into law enforcement roles. A lot of them African immigrants are heavily recruited into police departments, family, especially in Texas. Yeah, that's by design. They know what they're doing. You see, they know exactly what they're doing. There's a reason why they're putting a lot of them in political positions in the Congressional Black Caucus, and then we wonder why there's a bunch of um, tax dollars being funneled to all these immigrant groups. They know what it is. All right, who is this? All right, Caleb. Let's get Caleb in here, and then we'll get Thomas Sheck. I ain't heard from you in a while, Thomas Sheck. Caleb, what's up, man?
How you doing, brother? It's my first time listening to you. First time joining up here. It's 4:11 up here, but I just wanted to ask you a question about what you think of the veterans recently that's been going on in the news, and how some of them have been losing their jobs and things like that, and the government employees losing their jobs. Just your opinion on that, because I'm a federal employee too.
Okay, I haven't heard too much about that. I haven't heard too much about that, so I can't really speak on that because I haven't heard too much about them losing their job. So I have to look into that.
Hi, I'm Mateo. Do you want to learn about Hidden Heroes? Hidden Heroes from A to Z is a cool book that tells the stories of amazing black heroes you might not know about. You'll meet inventors, you'll meet explorers, and leaders who change the world. It's fun, inspiring, and you can learn so much. Get your copy now at hiddenhistorymuseum.com. Let's discover our hidden heroes together.